suppress individual freedoms, abuse power, and inflict widespread suffering. All right, our panel is here to discuss. Alan Mendenhall, Heritage Foundation Senior Advisor and former college business school dean, and Roberto Gonzalez, a member of the Miami-Dade Board of County Commissioners. Gentlemen, thank you for being with us. Roberto, to you first. With the rise of democratic socialism, we're hearing about it all the time. How important do you think it is for kids to learn about what communism actually is?
Well, it's extremely important, and I'm so glad that we have, one of the greatest governors in American history right here in the state of Florida. It's especially important because we remember the words of Ronald Reagan, where he said that freedom is only one generation away. Right now, we are living that more than ever. I mean, just a few weeks ago, we saw that the State Department released about 100-page report that talked about how the Cuban government has infiltrated within the United States, specifically using students, operatives, and education systems to push communism. They've done this all throughout the Western Hemisphere. We need children, we need kids, we need generations to understand the atrocities of communism now more than ever. And forever, we need to make sure that they understand this so that history doesn't repeat itself.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, Alan, if this had been taught maybe to some of the people that are latching on to this DSA movement, do you think it would have any legs at all? Do you think it really is about ignorance? I mean, we talk about the spirit of envy and all of those things, but does it have a lot to do with ignorance?
Yes, it does. Because not too many students that I taught could just rattle off the figure 100 million, which is approximately the number of deaths caused by socialism and communism. I mean, in the Mao era of China, we're talking about roughly 65 million alone. And then when you add in Cambodia, North Korea, and the Soviet Union, and you see the devastation in Venezuela, which has just suffered under hyperinflation, you realize this is a very destructive ideology. Now, a lot of the people teaching it, they're not teaching the classical Marxism of Marx and Engels, but some kind of like residual form based on Gramsci and Benjamin and Adorno and Marcuse. So I got a PhD in English. I do economics, but my PhD is in English. I had to study all these Marxists and spend a lot of time with them. And so when you see teachers taking race, gender, and sexuality and framing them as systems of power, are talking about structural racism and saying that capitalism is just another system that reinforces these hierarchies, what they're doing is they're borrowing from the concepts and the vocabularies of Marxism, even if they don't really know it. So if society is built on oppression is a big sort of concept that they like to traffic in, then socialism appears to be the political solution that promises to dismantle all these unequal structures. But socialism leads to not just bad economic consequences, but it leads to death.
Leads to death, yeah. Well, to your point, they're teaching communism light, apparently. Roberto, in science, you have to do science projects. In this class, do you think it would be beneficial if they made the kids understand what it's truly like to stand in a bread line?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, unfortunately, because of Mamdani, I think the citizens of New York are about to see exactly what that's like. And this is exactly what we're talking about here. By having these classes, we're going to be able to allow kids to not be tricked or fooled into believing that. Just a few months ago, right here in Miami-Dade County, I passed a resolution condemning Code Pink, where they had all these influencers go to Cuba and sit down and eat lobster with some of the worst narco-terrorist, communist dictators on the planet, talking about how great it was. It's ironic that you have these social influencers claiming to be socialists and communists while they're drinking a $16 drink and filming themselves with a $1,000 iPhone, paying with mommy and daddy's credit card. They don't understand what communism really means. And that ignorance is really a cancer all throughout, not only the United States, but the entire world.
Yeah, that is well stated. I mean, it is the hypocrisy and the ignorance is dumbfounding. Alan here, last question. If more states would get on board and we saw this widespread teaching of the truth about communism, how would this affect our future generations and our politics, do you think, 10, 20, 30 years from now?
Well, I hope it would help, but I do have a concern, which is you're still dealing with the same teachers. So these teachers who may be brainwashed or who may have these ideological premises are still the ones having to teach this class. So they may do it in their own way, which could be destructive. When I looked at the Smithsonian Institution's teacher training materials, I was shocked because they taught things like objectivity, the scientific method, the Protestant work ethic, neutrality, the nuclear family, that these were all nefarious signs of white supremacy. And it's really shocking to believe. But there was an instructional material saying that punctuality, being on time, is a sign of nefarious white culture. And if you have teachers who have been indoctrinated by that kind of stuff, just because you give them a new curriculum doesn't mean they're going to teach it the right way. So we have a lot of work to do. Again, this is a step in the right direction, but we have many, many, many more steps to take.
Yeah, that is a great point about the teachers also being trained to teach the actual truth of it and not things like the survival of humanity because of the nuclear family is somehow inherently whiteness. That just won't cut it. Alan Mendenhall, Roberto Gonzalez, thank you for your time, gentlemen.